My name is Snows Optica, and in this video I'm going after an animal that has yet to grace the presence of my lodge, the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. We have one bighorn tag and one mule deer tag for Alberta, but this will be no usual hunt. This hunt I'm going full realism. Now, what do I mean by ultra realistic? I'll break it down for you. It means no animal clues, no interaction clues, no POI or need zones, no fast traveling, and only a 4-hour hunt window in the morning and in the evening. Also, no spotting, only one hunting weapon and one defense weapon permitted. Must return to camp with meat and trophy for the hunt to count. Only kill animals you have tags for. I start my hunt at 5:30 in the morning. Breathing in this frigid 15-degree air couldn't make me any happier. Seeing this Canadian sunrise is a sight to behold, and knowing that I could walk out of this beautiful country with a huge Rocky Mountain ram makes me forget how truly cold it is here. My plan is very simple. Since I have no clues or hints that jump out at me and say the animal is over here, I need to be up high. My plan is to be high up on the mountains, glass below, to see if I can get my eye on any rams or bucks, preferably a big sheep. After reaching the top, it took me a minute to remember what I was actually there for. The view of these mountains, the white snow reflecting colors of pinks, orange, and green, had me in a complete trance. But after a minute, I began glassing the ground below, neighboring hills and mountainsides. My first few sweeps didn't result in any signs of life, not even a call. So I decided to try another spot to see if I could find anything at all. Any sign of life will do. The first animal I get to lay eyes on is this little grouse. I don't have the correct caliber for him, so I just watched him scurry around. I began working my way down the mountainside. Over and over again I remind myself I have to be mindful of my noise. If I spook something, I will never know. But I have to admit, it's much more relaxing not having the visual calls and fleeing signals bombarding your screen and holding your hand the whole time. As I reach the top of this shoulder, I get my first glimpse of big game. Some Manitoban elk and a black bear. Although it appears to be just a few cows and a sow, it fills me with hope seeing that there are animals in the area. I sweep and sweep and sweep the hillside some more. Still no signs of sheep. I did, however, see another black bear. Without spotting, it can be very difficult to tell the difference between a boar and a sow. I find a public tree stand below, and then I finally see my first mule deer. He's a proper adult buck. He seems to be on a mission to get out of here, but he doesn't appear to be spooked. So I decided just to watch him for a little bit. This mule deer trots out to about 250 yards before giving me anything that closely resembles a smart shot. But he doesn't sit still, so I continue to wait. Just to his right, I see two more bucks. It's hard to tell because of the bush, but they look smaller. One is a small forky, possibly only a year or two old. I decided I was going to go ahead and take a shot on the biggest buck. I pulled out my 7mm and waited for him to come out. He was reluctant to come out of the trees, but when he did, he went straight into a trot, and I'm not taking a walking shot. That was my sign to fully switch my attention to finding my Rocky Mountain ram. Although this was a fine buck, after last week's monster muley, I wasn't in a hurry to take this one down. I was so focused on that buck that I didn't notice I had a group of does right next to me. Eventually, they spook and flee. An hour and a half has passed since the start of my hunt, and it's back to the same old same old. After more glassing, I decide to move down. As I'm halfway down the mountain, I hear something that makes me jump with fear and excitement. The warning call of a bighorn sheep, and he seems to be right above me. I now have to wait and make my way all the way back up this mountain without spooking him. Going down is one thing, but going up is a harder thing. I try and make my way up this steep mountainside without scaring off this bighorn, but also without falling all the way down and knocking myself out and going home empty-handed. Rocks that I step on are breaking and tumbling hundreds of feet below, another factor that could scare the bighorn away. I make it up and see no bighorn. I start to question if I was too noisy on my ascent. I decide to take a peek down the eastern side of the mountain. And then, it finally happened. After a short 2 hours, I'm finally staring at two rams. They don't seem scared, they just seem to be on the move. I follow them as they fade behind the tree line. I try to keep track of them as best as I can. With nothing outlining the animal, I'll have to wait until I know for sure what I'm shooting. I can still see them relatively well, but I know that could change in a moment's notice. I continue to follow them until they fully disappear into the thick wilderness. It looked like my opportunity was gone. I remained stubborn and continued to look into the trees, hoping that a sheep would be standing right in one of the openings. Through the foliage, I can barely make out the giant horns and the giant head. I try to get an idea of the position of the animal and gauge if I can get a good shot on it. I decide to write down the coordinates on my HunterMate map, just in case I lose them. After I reposition, I no longer have eyes on either of the sheep. I search side to side hoping I notice something. I'm starting to worry that my morning hunt is over. But then I saw that big ol' head once again, and he was giving me the best shot I was probably going to get. He's laying down, so I waited to see how long he was going to stay like that. The shot would be a 250-yard shot. I finally decided if he stood up and he didn't move, I was going to take the shot. I see some movement in the trees. If it was a good shot, the animal should have hit the ground immediately. This 7mm can take down bison and elk. I give it a little bit of time before I head down there. I don't want to push the animal even further if he's not expired already. I do have my hunting dog Hide with me, but my goal is not to use him. As I get down into the trees, I make a big circle. Still haven't found him yet, starting to get a little bit worried, but still have plenty of daylight left to be able to find him. A good sign is that my HunterMate shows hunting pressure, which means the animal has expired. Now the only goal is to find him. With no tracks and no spotting outline, tracking is much more difficult than it usually is, but so much more rewarding. As I continue to pace the mountainside, I can't help but to wonder how many times I've accidentally walked right past my ram. He would be perfectly camouflaged in all this timber and probably half buried in the snow by now. But out of the corner of my eye, I noticed what I thought was a rock, but was actually my first Rocky Mountain bighorn. There he laid in a big puddle of blood, which told me he dropped right where he stood. I was so excited to get my first Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, and in Canada of all places. He was a big 167.55 gold that weighed 262 pounds. As I sit and stare at my trophy, I soak in the hunt, and I start to prepare my trip back to the cabin. I gut the sheep, which removes a lot of weight from the animal, but I still have to strap it to my back and lug this thing all the way back. Luckily, the trip back isn't super far. I see another bighorn sheep, but this guy gets a free pass. Our one and only tag for the day has been filled. Now that I've arrived back at camp, I want to talk about what I've learned on this hunt. I've learned that playing Call of the Wild this way is so much fun. It forces you to pay attention and helps you enjoy the things you might end up taking for granted. This makes you patient and wait just a little bit longer at the spot you've been at. Playing this way makes you take realistic shots. Shots that you are confident in areas that you know you can track. Sometimes you will get nothing, which can make even a gold, silver, or bronze seem like a big trophy. Now this isn't a slam on anyone from the Call of the Wild game community. To each their own, play as you wish. But I believe that the Hunter was meant to be played like this. I get one more look at my big ram in the lodge. I will cherish this hunt for eternity. I was lucky to find and kill this sheep on my first day in about 2 hours. Askiy Ridge was very good to us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next episode.